Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And this evening we have, oh my God, we have a guest that we haven't had on in years, Sunny Dawn Johnston. And if you haven't experienced Sunny Dawn before, just be prepared for a lot of coolness, a lot of expansion, diving in and communicating with the angels, and just opening up that huge heart of yours. As Sunny just can't help but to draw that out of you. And it's amazing, really, the energy and the facilitation that shows up just in her presence, in her enthusiasm, in her strength also. And you'll feel it on today's call. So we're going to get into the conversation about angels and the afterlife. And I'm not quite sure what this is necessarily going to go. And I have a feeling that your energy and what you're bringing to this call, as you all are listening, is going to really dictate some of the questions that get inspired through the call. And we're also going to take live Q&A. So if you want to ask your personal question, you can type your question in the chat box, or you can raise your hand on the Zoom call, and we'll get into a little bit of Q&A a little bit later on the call. Again, Sunny, it's been a while since you've been on, so let me tell everybody a little bit more about you. And I already know a lot of people already know who you are, but it's good because we have a lot of new people on BTO as well. So Sunny Dawn is an acclaimed inspirational speaker. She's a spiritual teacher and a psychic medium. It's been years since I've had a reading with you, Sunny. And I remember the last one. I was living here in Santa Barbara. It was probably about 6 years ago. And I was sitting outside the coffee shop, and you're just like breathing into everything that was coming up. And the guidance that you were giving was so spot on. I'm just recalling that right now, sitting outside of, I can't remember the name of the coffee shop, Red Walls, or anyway.
You can see it.
I see it. I'm right there. The Santa Barbara Roasting Company. There you go. So funny. So anyway, Sunny's the author of 20 books, including her flagship bestsellers, Invoking the Archangels and The Love Never Ends, which have become the cornerstone for many of her keynote topics, such as intuition, mediumship, and the angelic realm. And by the way, in her special offer, she's going to teach you how to connect with your angels. And from Sunny Dawn's perspective, which if you already do, and your guides is going to amplify if you're not quite sure how to get there, you're like in such beautiful, capable, expert hands. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. Now, through her courses, her private sessions, and live events, Sunny has grown and cultivated a diverse global community. And so whether it's in person or online, her strong mentorship encourages thousands of students to connect with their hearts and the core of their being, and guides them to experience life in a newer and more positive light. And with that, Sunny Dawn, it's so good to see you.
Awesome. It's great to see you too. Thanks for having me again. Hi, everyone.
So Sunny Dawn, I have to ask you this. Again, it's been a while. So many of us, again, we're preaching to the choir, right? We're here in a spiritual community. We want to connect, even more so that we do, even those of us that do, and have greater intimacy and get to know our guides and the angels and the archangels in a greater capacity. From your experience, again, it's been years since we've connected. What has shifted in the resonance or in our ability to connect with the angels? Have the angels shifted as well? Or are we accessing something that maybe we weren't quite ready to? And I don't know, how do you see that evolving?
I think that there's much more of an interest in us opening ourselves up to make that connection, more so than to go to somebody to give us the connection. People are wanting to learn to make that connection for themselves. And that's what's really exciting to me, because although I do this work and I can do readings and things, what's more important to me is to teach people that they can do it themselves. And so I think the angels have really been, and our loved ones in spirit have been supporting us and saying, hey, just knock on the door. I'm like, I'm right here. I'm right here. Any given time, like you don't have to make an appointment and go to somebody. You can, but you have the ability to do this yourself. And so that's what's really a big shift in the last 5, 6, 7 years, maybe, that I feel like so many more people are tapping in and recognizing their abilities. Like I just did an interview today with a guy who runs men's groups, and they're all like police and search and rescue, and they're tapping into this kind of stuff. And I'm like, yes, this is awesome. We're shifting it up.
Shifting it up, up and out and bigger and better.
That's right.
something that you do that you've been doing ever since I've met you, which more people I find are embodying their ability to do so also, is that for me, whenever you did your readings or whenever you're teaching, it's not like you're going out and coming back in. You really speak it from an embodied place and it streams through you. Is it that all your clairs are so active that it just comes through you in that way? Or has there been a process for you to be in this type of relational dynamic that it doesn't seem like you have to keep pinging something that that would give you the information and then you translate it?
Sure. That's a great question. I think when you're first starting, that is how it is. It's like, okay, let me open up. Okay, let me listen. All right, now let me come back. And so I think it feels really kind of broken up. I've been working with the angels for over 35 years. And so the energy has become really second nature now, so that when the messages from deceased loved ones or the angels or guides are coming through, it's almost like because these channels are open, I can integrate it through and it just comes to me and through me. I don't have to think about it or feel about it or even interpret it. It just moves through. And I think a lot of people, that's what they want. And there was no thing that I did to activate that, to get that going, outside of just showing up and being present and serving in the way that that Spirit asked me to. And I think the more we do it and the more practiced we get, and I also think the more grounded we are, John, I think a lot of people, when they're doing spiritual work, sometimes they get so disconnected from their body that we really need to be grounded in the physical vessel to channel that energy through. That's part of the purpose of being here. And so the more grounded you can be, the easier that energy just flows through, and it feels like it literally is in flow.
Right. And you're so confident in what flows through you as well. There's just a knowing, and I get that sense, and I can't tell you why it is also. I'm so in tune and so entrusted the benevolence and the information that's coming through me that I don't really, and I never really have gotten into doubt, like, where is this coming from? Is this real? Is this something that's trying to manipulate me in another way? How can you tell the difference? And how is it that you embody such straightforward awareness of that benevolence coming through?
I think when I first started, I did a lot of what you were just saying, that, okay, is this real? I don't really know. And part of that, the growth was that I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel like, why me? Why am I the one that this information is coming through? There's nothing special about me. So I put a lot of pressure on myself. But as I started getting more involved, and I'm talking like in my early 20s, late 20s, what I realized is that why not me? Why not me? And if Spirit was bringing this information to me, that I was the only way that I could do this work really and be in authenticity is to actually just allow it to come and know that this is of and for the highest good of whoever it is I'm working with. And if I ever had doubts, then my ego would be involved. If I started thinking about it, that's my ego, and that's not a message for them. And there's once in a while where I'll be doing a reading and I'm saying, okay, now hang on, Sunny has something to say now.
Yeah.
Like, I want to put a little input in now. But that helps to get into that flow. And I do think there's a confidence, because we don't always understand why we're saying what we're saying. It doesn't always make sense to us. Most of the time it doesn't, because it's not mine. But what I do know is that if it's coming to me and through me, there's a reason. That's it. There's a reason. And I don't have to understand it.
I love that. I really love that. And I bet you just witnessed so many people going, how does she know that? And that's so resonant. And you're like, I don't know.
Just tapped in, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. So to anyone listening on the call, again, if they're tapping in a little or a lot or not at all, what's the impetus for to begin the communication, either in an accelerated, more amplified way, or even just as a beginner?
When I was writing my book, I asked the angels, because for me, my situation was very different. I wasn't an adult and said, hey, I want to learn how to do this. I actually was a teenager when I had my first experience with my guardian angel. And from there, it's like I was in training class, and the angels were teaching me every day. And it was so cool, but I didn't know that it was cool. I just was in it. Right. And so I think that for a lot of people, they when we're first starting, we need to recognize that there's a little process that the angels gave me. And the first step was to just ask. Literally just open our heart and ask. So the process was ask. Number 2 was allow, which meant get out of your head, get out of your ego, and just let the information come through. Just stay connected, just open up. So ask, allow. The step number 3 was believe. And so in this sense, it was like, believe that you're worthy of receiving these messages. Believe that you deserve to have that connection. Believe that you are a spirit that is connected to a universal energy that can be connected to all. And there's no reason not to believe that. And if you ask, allow, and believe, you will receive. And so I think the most important thing is to ask. Ask for the support, ask for the guidance, ask for the direction, ask for the help. And when we do that, we open ourselves up then to be able to receive that.
That's beautiful. I had the privilege when I started connecting, like the dam just cracked open for me. And I was in my late 30s, early 40s. And there's just no turn back, and all the energies. And again, the guides and the angels would come into teaching dreams and these facilitations. And it was a phenomenal time in my life. And I had the benefit of having a mentor, someone who I can ask questions to, who would give me context, that would help me step into a resonance of what was coming through. And that was so beautiful. And that's why I'm also really excited about the special offer, which we'll get into later, because I think if people have a framework to ask questions, a relational aspect, that you don't have to do it alone and figure it out.
Right.
And sometimes so many people's like, I kind of want to connect and I want to do it, but I get stuck. And if they only had a little bit of that mentorship, it would just make that whole process and the relational dynamic exponential, instead of going through these doubts and trying to unwire conditioning that tells us that, no, we can't do it.
You got it.
Did you have a mentor? Did you do it all on your own?
I muddled my way through it. You know, I was living in Salt Lake City, Utah, as a teenager, and started having these experiences. And so my mother was supportive, and she had some friends that were in the underground New Age community in the 80s in Salt Lake City. But they weren't able to really support me in the way that I needed. I had one friend, one of my mom's friends, that would give me some good guidance, and that was helpful. But for the most part, I did this for 15 years. I'm a little slow learner, John. 15 years, I muddled my way through it, because I had these experiences that were miraculous, like literally saved my life, miraculous. And then my ego would kick in and go, you know what? I don't want to do this. I just want to be normal. I just want to be like a normal person. And so I'd go back and forth and back and forth. And I did that for years. And finally I got it. It's like, listen, this is who you are. And actually what you're doing is normal. It's not normal to not have connection with your spirit and your soul. That's what's abnormal. So step into that, Sunny. It's about time. And my grandmother, who had just passed, and my ex-mother-in-law, who had just passed away, they kind of haunted me into my work. But it worked. And I've been doing it ever since, intentionally. I
love that. And the question for you, and really it's for the audience, but I think you just answered it, but I'd love just a little bit of a reframing and grounding in for the audience as well. And this is for y'all listening. You're tuning in, and there's this awareness of connecting with angels and the ability to ask Sunny Dawn a question live today, which I encourage you to. We're going to get into Q&A later. But also ask yourself, why is it that you want to connect with the angels? What's your why? And Sunny, again, what was your why?
Well, my why originally, as soon as I had the first experience, was I want to feel that energy of unconditional love again. That was it was totally selfish. Why? I want to feel that.
That's so perfect though. That's for me, that's the perfect answer. Yeah. I mean, truly.
That was what it was. And I wanted to, not only did I want to feel that, but I wanted to learn how to like activate it. Like, how did that happen? Why did that happen? And it got me so curious that here I am 35 years later, still figuring it out, still studying and still sharing because it fed me in a way that nothing in my life ever has. And it was never an experience that I'd ever planned on. Like I couldn't have set this plan up, and given me such a beautiful blessing and life journey.
Well, it's amazing because not only did you embody it and integrate it into your own life, but then you start teaching people all over the world. Mm-hmm. And the ripple effects of that are profound. But then now you're also teaching it to business owners and entrepreneurs and other healers and teachers in that way also. And so the ripple effect of your gift and the vibrational attunement to higher consciousness becomes exponential because of the intention. Your original intention is because I want to experience that love again. And once you experience it, you can't help but to want everybody else to experience that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's such a beautiful gift. And so I think that when we have, and I think a lot of teachers are this, it's why we teach, right? Because we've had something that's moved us in a really deep way. And then what we want for humanity is to experience that again. Now, sometimes we go knocking on the wrong door. We're like, no, you really need to do this. This is going to change your life. Where what I did that at the beginning. And then I discovered, okay, not everybody is interested, but there are a lot of people that are. So allow the people that are to come to you, and let the people that are around you that aren't interested be okay where they are too. That's not always easy, John. Not always easy.
It's not, but we get to do it also. And that's also part of the beauty of becoming as well. Mm-hmm. Because you land in a different spot with it. Another reason to do it, y'all, and I'll mention it, Sunny Dawn's a grandmother, but you look 35. So there's a reverse aging thing that happens when you're in that energy also.
I love that. I'll take it.
Right? It's like,
I have a 15-year-old granddaughter also. So when I go with her, people,
oh my God, don't even get us started.
I know. I'm like, oh my goodness. And she's like 7 inches taller than me. Oh, it's so crazy.
So Sunny Dawn, how can people begin to connect with the angels? What are some of the things that you suggest or teach to start to provoke that connection?
First and foremost, I really would go back to asking for you to have that experience. And it doesn't have to be like, asking can look a lot of different ways. It could be a prayer. It could be an intention. It could be like I did at 13 years old. I said, I don't know who that was, but could you come back? That was my prayer, my intention at 13 to start working with them again. So, but asking from a heartfelt way, like, allow me to experience you in a way that I know that it's you, that I have an experience. And then, I think what's important is that we stay present. A lot of us are so checked out in areas of our life, or we're so on task and just focus. It's head down and just do what we got to do, that we miss the magic. We miss the mystical things. We miss the excitement because we're just, okay, I got to pay the bills. I got to go to work. I got to do check, all these things. When we can get to a place of, I want to experience the presence of this energy, then the angels come in so subtly that if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. And so we've really got to pull ourselves into presence. And I think that that's hard for a lot of us because of just the way that our environment is now, especially with all the social media and computers and technology, which has been a blessing and causes us to really tend to struggle sometimes. So pulling yourself, asking first, and then really getting present in your day-to-day life. So some people, they need to do a meditation to kind of get present and grounded and grounded. Some people need to do movement of their body so they can get more focused. But when you find what works for you to be in presence, and when I'm saying that, I mean you're present in your body and outside of your body, so that you can see the signs, the messages, the images, the subtleties that are happening.
That's wonderful. What type of questions do you ask your angels for you?
Oh, goodness. Well, recently I've been talking to them a lot because I have not been very happy with a shoulder injury that I've had. And it's taking way too long on my timeline. And so the questions have been, what can I do to release the pain? And the question I've been bringing in, not even the question, but just asking Raphael to help support me and guide me to move the energy that needs to be moved so that I can be in wholeness again. And so, and I do that, things that I would never ordinarily do, I'm doing because that's what the guidance has been. And it's been an interesting experience. But the angels, I know, always have my highest, best interest at heart. And oftentimes the things that kind of push up against me are the things I need, even though they might not be what I want, you know, the things we kind of push against. So my guidance, one of the things that was I was guided to do was 2 weeks ago. I've had this injury that's been going on for about 6 months now, and it's gotten increasingly worse. And 2 weeks ago, my angel said, start drinking bone broth. I've been a vegetarian for 30 years.
Wow.
Bone broth.
Wow.
Yeah. I think not, right? Like I'm totally just, nope, not doing it. And, but it kept coming and it kept coming. And you know, when you get those messages and they keep coming, you're like, and I kept thinking, I think you guys are confused. You've missed the mark. That's
Missed
not
the wires.
me.
It's my next door neighbor you're talking
It's
to,
the girl
right?
down the road, right? It's
Yeah.
not me. But you know, what happened was one day it was my family dinner. And so my kids were over and my son said, Mom, I really think you need to eat meat. I think that would help you. And I said, nope, not ever going to do that. You already know that. I said, and when I went to say it, I knew my ego said, Sonny, don't say this, because if you say this, they're going to kind of hold you to it. Right. So I said, my spirit has really been guiding me to start drinking bone broth. And oh my God, they all jumped up. Yes, yes, Mom. Yes. So the next day, not even a joke, my daughter-in-law brought me 35 boxes of bone broth.
Okay.
She went and bought them all out from the store. And she's like, here you go. I'm like, okay, well, I have some support here. And so my point is, sometimes the messages that we receive from our angels aren't always what we want to hear. But they are what we need to hear.
Yeah.
Even if it feels out of the box, uncomfortable, or even maybe goes against a commitment that you've had. But sometimes the reason we start doing something is different. And we don't actually look at, okay, why am I doing this now? Maybe things in my life have changed. Maybe there's things in my body that have changed, that it's time to be okay and open up to other possibilities.
And that really leads to my next question. Like with your shoulder injury, I had like a back thing happen not too long ago. It's like, oh, there's purpose in this as well.
Yes.
Did they share with you that there's purpose, or did they share with you more of the path into what that purpose is enlightening? Or sometimes is it both?
You know, what happened for me, and I have a tendency to do this, and I'm not saying this is the right thing to do. Okay. So this is not a teaching.
Disclaimer, yes.
This is a teaching of what not to do, right? Which I have a lot of those teachings too. You know, but for me, what it was at the very beginning when it started getting really painful, the way that I could tolerate it was that I would say to myself, I know that this will help others. I know that me walking through this journey will help others. And when I would talk with my angels, they would affirm that this will help others. And I sat in that for a long time. And then one day I was meditating, and my spirit said, Sonny, it has to help you first. I was like, oh man, because I could do it if it was going to help others. Right? Like I could get through it and I could handle the pain. I can figure it out. I'm going to do all the things. But it really, literally, even though I knew I had to heal it, it didn't even occur. Like I was just thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to do a class. I'm going to help you guys, all you that have pain. I figured it out. I know how to create the new neural pathways. Like I had it all figured out. And I'm like, oh wait, yeah, I might need to get healthy first.
That's so I love that.
I think it's true for a lot of us, you know?
I had such a parallel experience with that. And for me, my excuse was my grandson that was about to be born. And I went into a deep healing process, a deep journey meditation. I was going in and I was clearing out the masculine and going into the wounds and going into the family line. And it was profound. It's like, I've got to do it. It's from our grandson. It's comes from friends. And it was in it. And you can feel things were moving, but it's like something wanted to pop. And then I heard, you need to do it for you, not for your grandson. And in doing it for you, you cleared the way for your grandson.
Yes. Ooh, that's goosebumpy.
Right. It just opened up, and there we go. And how wonderful, because we have to receive for ourselves what we so wish to give to others.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, you know, here's the thing that's interesting for those of you that are watching. We ought to know that. Like, we teach it, we could tell you all day long. And here's the thing. So we're still human, having our experiences and having our journeys and having things that we know, like we know we'll tell everyone. And then we're in the experience of it ourselves. And sometimes I think, at least for me, especially in this circumstance, like sometimes I forget what I know. And it's like, oh yeah, wait a minute. That's right. I need to do that, you know? So it's been a really difficult journey. And I'm so grateful for what I have already learned and the direction that I'm moving, because I know that it's brought a lot of value and really deepened my connection. And I've had to clear some old stuff out too, that I didn't realize was even still there. Because, you know, when you've done a lot of work, you're like, okay, I mean, how much more can there be? Oh yeah, there's still more. If you're alive, there's more.
Well, it's why we have the 50th conversation about connecting with angels on Beyond the Ordinary show over, you know, almost 10 years.
Yeah. Because
there's more, and there's the reminders, and sometimes we forget and we get busy, and sometimes even what we know and the consciousness of it evolves to a higher octave as well, and we receive it at that octave at a new time.
Yes.
And so the evolution of that wisdom is evolving. We're evolving with it. Yes. And so we get to meet it at that time where it is, which I'm so excited about your course. We'll get into it in a little bit. Because I'm so grateful that you are guiding people through these modules that you put together, and the permission that you give. And again, you carry such a strong pillar of strength in the way that you teach and share, it just gives people permission and makes them feel like, oh, okay, I can do this. So it's profound. But before we get into live Q&A, and again, if you all want to ask your personal question, raise your hand or type your question into the chat box. So talking about my family history and lineage, I grew very Latino Catholic, and my mother was always praying for me all the time, praying for me, calling the angels in for me. Could my mother actually call in the angels for me, or is that my job?
Ooh, isn't that interesting? So because I've asked this a lot, because I think we all pray for people all the time, right? She can call the angels in for you. Absolutely. It's your job to allow them in. So we have free will. And so people can send us all kinds, send us love, send us healing, etc. But does our soul receive it or not? That's our choice. So I think that it's, as a mom, we're like, yeah, I'm just going to send a whole lot of them. And then maybe one day in a weak moment, you'll let them in, right? That's kind of what I did with my kids. You know, I'm just going to surround you in them. And then when you're ready, you can receive them. And there's plenty there. So absolutely, we can invite them in, but we can't control and force, even though sometimes we want to.
Yeah. So I'm aware of the different archangels, the different angels that show up, but I forget sometimes. And so we know Gabriel, Michael, other ones. Which angels do what? Do we need to invoke a particular angel and ask Michael for protection, Gabriel for a healing, or for, the clarion call into something? How do you connect with that? And again, do we have to have that type of linear knowledge to ask for the support that we hope to receive?
Yeah, I think that it feels good to understand and know. So as human beings, we like to know, okay, Archangel Shamuel is with unconditional love, and Archangel Gabriel is with connection and communication, and Archangel Raphael's we like to understand that. However, is it necessary to get the support that we need? No. So even when I wrote this book, when I first started writing the book, Invoking the Archangels, I was like, well, I don't really need to write it, because, it doesn't actually really matter. Like, people can just say, angels help, and they'll be there for you in the way that you need them. But what my spirit said, because I tend to talk back and forth and kind of argue sometimes too. I know it's surprising, but it's true. Is that it is important for people to have a way. And so for people that have never had a connection with angels, then giving them information is a way to start them on the path and start them on the journey, because they don't know where to start otherwise. But I always tell people, if you're not sure, just angels, help me, surround me. You don't have to know which archangel and which color and which exact area they're going to help with. You just have to be open to receiving that help. But if you want to learn, because then you feel more intentional, you have more awareness of the signs, you can be more present, then absolutely learning more about them is really valuable, because I think you have more confidence then. You have more trust that your intuition is going to guide you, that you have help that is going to help support you in the direction that you're wanting to go. And so there's this confidence that, confidence can't be learned. It's an experience, and you have to practice. And so I think that for that reason, it can be really valuable, but it's not necessary.
I love that. My practice was, and it was so important for me, I played with the energy so much, and I gave myself full permission to be wrong every time.
Yeah.
And just like, oh, and it could be the elevator game, which elevator, or the parking spot, or whatever it was, or even if something was coming through, just a lightness of being and the permission for it not to be accurate.
Yes.
For me, allowed that confidence to build. So when something that showed, was like, oh, okay, there it is. Not with the expectation that it had to be right, because I really think that the expectation kind of lowers the receiving of the information.
I agree.
We're really looking for an outcome.
Yes, I agree. I think that, when I'm teaching in classes, so like I started a community this year called Intuition 365. And so every week I teach on some subject in intuition. So I might teach about runes, or I might teach about ascended masters, or whatever it happens to be. And one of the reasons I started that was to help people to recognize how intuition is showing up for them. And so often they're so attached to the outcome that they can't even see or feel or recognize the messages that are coming. And so what we always say in this class is we focus on the hits, not the misses. Because when you get a hit, then you experience more hits, and that's great. But you don't push against the misses. You take that as knowledge, as learning. And the more that we have that, and the more that we're just allowing, it's kind of like, I wonder if it's going to be this elevator or this elevator. It's like I'm unattached, and you can't be right if you're not willing to be wrong.
Yeah.
Right? You can't. So we've got to just give ourselves that opportunity, and then learn from those experiences.
Yeah. And there's also a point of discernment that comes in through our own maturity and our body responding to information, and trusting that as well. It was years ago before I started the show. And again, it's been almost 10 years. And I had friends that are amazing psychics and connected to angels and connected to guides. And I had one particular friend, she's amazing. And she's like, nope, don't do it. It's not for you. There's something else for you. And everything in me kept telling me, I'm supposed to do this. And she's well-meaning and all that. And I launched the show, and it just blossomed from the get-go. And the message in that for me is that I needed to be in my discernment, not in listening. And so her getting it wrong was actually her getting it right.
Right. So that you could stand in your truth and know that, and even, because I think there's even a greater power when others around you have said, and you go, oh yeah, I'm going, right? So that's the perfect scenario. And I think sometimes we attach to, oh, well, they were wrong or they were right. They got you to where you need to be.
Oh, I so read her and like, thank you so much, because it brought forward a confidence in me.
Yes.
That otherwise wouldn't have been there in this particular way.
You got it.
Fascinating. And we get to discern that even through the angel communication, not that they're tricking us, but it's really a point of, okay, where are you in this communication, and how do you get to know yourself? Because it's all for our love.
Right. And are you someone who, like some of us, we learn kind of through the back door, is what I always say. It's like, it can't usually be right in front of me. It comes in kind of sideways. And that's how I like to teach also, because that is how I learn. And I think a lot of people learn that way. So when your angels and your guides know, okay, yeah, I can't just put this right in front of her and just have her have the ant, like that's not going to work for her. And we come in the side where we're like, oh yeah, I got it now.
Yeah, I learn experientially. I have to kind of trip and fall a little bit or kind of move around, and then it's like, oh, okay, now I got it.
Yeah, me too. Muddling my way through it. That's been the greatest learning.
But once it's yours, it's yours.
Exactly.
Boom, it's just done. So that's amazing.
Yeah, now you got the wisdom.
Yeah. So Don, I want to start taking some live calls. April, will you do me a favor and put the link for the special offer in the chat box? Because I want to go through that first. And so as we open up, because I'm really excited about everybody being able to participate with you, Sunny Dawn. So we're going to open that up in a second. But I want to ask you, because you mentioned runes. How do you feel about connecting through other like physical divination tools like tarot cards or spirit animals to guides? So what's your take on the different tools that people use for that connection?
You know, I think different people are drawn to different tools at different times. And how I approached it when I was younger, I didn't want to use any tools ever. And I think that came from more of a past life journey of not wanting to ever be caught with any kind of divination tools.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
But what I recognized as I started to develop my skills is that it created more validation for people when they actually had some tools that they could see and get confirmation through, whether it was pulling a tarot card or using a pendulum. And so what I liked when I'm teaching, I like to teach people the foundation to not use tools, and then tools as a way to validate your intuition that you're already knowing, your connection with your angels. And then I think that way it works really well, because the more validation we get when we're learning, we need validation so that it gives us that confidence. And so I love tools, and I think they're all fun. And I want people to be comfortable in the fact that if they don't have any, they still trust themselves.
I love that. And for me, I would agree with you, because my experience, I never really played with tarot cards until a few years ago. And then all of a sudden they just came in, and the information that comes through is so spot on so many different times. But I found in my experience that there can be such a leaning into what a card has to say, or what you pull, and the intentionality that you pull with can also affect the interpretation of what's being revealed. So really getting to know your own channel in that way allows you to really feel into the interpretation of what's being presented through an outside example of the energy that's coming in.
Yes. Yeah. You know, I created, last year, I created a deck of cards called the Multidimensional Oracle. And spirit guided me. There's animals and symbols and ascended masters and numbers in this card deck. And when I was creating it, I said, you know what? I don't want to put a guidebook in here. I don't want to have the answers to the cards. I want people to find the answers within themselves. And a lot of people around me are like, they're not going to sell. People aren't going to buy them if the answers aren't there. And I said, you know what? I don't care. I want people to learn how to use them. And so I sold them without the book, and I've had 2 people send them back to me. But I think what it did was it helps people to recognize that I don't have the answer for you written in a little square that's going to cover your entire life experience when you pull this card. You have that. You have that. So that was I knew I was going to get a little flack, and I did. But I think it helps us really start to develop that true connection for ourselves.
Well, it's empowerment in what you're teaching with, and knowing also, and I believe also that with our guides is we get just enough information to feel the love, to feel the connection, but it's empowerment that comes through.
Yes.
Not a game plan.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Right. Man, do I wish. Sometimes I've been looking like, could you just give me the next 5 steps? And I'm like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but you'd get bored, as would I. If you gave me the game plan, it's like you gave me the paint by colors. Like, yeah, I'm going to co-create something else.
You are right, but don't tell them that.
Oh my God. I love the way you teach. Let's get into your special offer. Y'all, in the chat box, there's a link. click on the link and open up the special offer that Sunny and her team have put together for us. If you can't find the link for whatever reason in the chat box, it's highlighted in blue. Just open up a new browser. You won't be able to see our beautiful faces here on the line, but that's okay. For a little while anyway. But go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com / let me see how April put this up. Let's make sure I get it right. / Sunny Dawn 29, the number 29, and it'll take you to that same page. And Sunny, if you would, why don't you guide us through what you've put together here for us on the show? And I'll share my screen as we go through it as well.
You bet. You bet. So what this is a course that's based on the book that I wrote called Invoking the Archangels. And it's an 8-lesson course teaching you really everything that you could want to know about the angels. It will teach you about the angels in developing your relationships with them. It gives you experiential exercises to walk through so that you can start to be able to discern what each archangel feels like, the way that you are sensing them. And it teaches also about your intuition throughout this course. So it's a 8-lesson course that will break down really the each one of the archangels. It'll teach you about, why it's important to meditate and how you can open up the energy to with forgiveness by working with Archangel Zadkiel. It'll help you to get more confidence, is really what I've heard from a lot of people that have taken the course, that they get more confidence in their abilities and their own connection to the angels. So if you're a brand new beginner, then it's a really good foundation for you. If you're someone that has already got some connection with your angels, then what the course does is it really expands your awareness and your ability so that you have a deeper connection to the spirit world and you feel more supported. And when challenges come up, you don't feel alone. You know that you can ask for that help, even when you don't like the answer, like me. What I also have heard from people that have taken this course is that they have had changes, oftentimes miraculous changes in their relationships, in their health, in their well-being, in their mental well-being. And so really what you're going to do is you're going to learn about the archangels. There's a lot of different prayers actually to call in the different angels. You're going to learn their names, their qualities, the colors that they vibrate to. If you're somebody that's visual, you may recognize, you might be somebody that sees a lot of peripheral kind of like light flashing or little flickers. And oftentimes that's kind of the opening of your clairvoyance, your vision. And so as you start to develop that relationship, it pulls forward into either more form or at least a color. And so that's one of the ways that we can discern the different archangels. And then you're going to start to develop your own personal relationship with the archangels. And so I really feel like it's a great course. I think that I'm kind of fun. So I think it's fun because of that. But it's going to break down, as you can see here, the sections, a welcoming and an introduction, and then all about Archangel Michael. And what I love, as you are, John, I'm an experiential learner. I like to learn through experience. And so in every single lesson, there is an experiential exercise and also some form of music or meditation or message to help you to make that connection for yourselves. Because what I know and absolutely believe is everybody has the ability to connect with their angels because they're already there. You've got your guardian angel, you've got your master guide, you've got a variety of angels there at any given time. And what's cool about it is different angels come in at different times. And it's fun to be able to feel that shift when the energies around you change, so that you can actually be like, oh, okay, Uriel's with me. I can feel that presence. You might be visual. You might see Uriel's energy. And maybe you hang with Uriel and you work with Uriel for a couple of weeks when you're going through a change at work or something like that. And then there's a shift and you can feel or see or know Raphael's presence. And so I think it's a great course to give you a lot of information on all of the archangels, and also how to get into meditation, how to focus on your body, how to create some healing, and how to bring in forgiveness. So really, this is a course, if you're new, then it's going to give you a lot of foundational information. If you already have an experience, it's going to expand that awareness. And you don't have to do it like once a week. If it takes you longer, that's okay. You've got as much time as you need each week. Some people go through it and then they go through it again and again and again, which I love. Like, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I love it when I hear that, because you hear different things at different times.
Are you ever surprised at how quickly people can actually invoke their angels and start receiving messages?
I'm not surprised anymore, because I've seen it so often. I've been teaching and on angels specifically for so long that it doesn't surprise me, but it always excites me. It always excites me.
Are people surprised at how quickly they can do it?
Yes, they are. I have a really great quick story, and this is just an experience where I was teaching a class years ago, and 20 years ago, and somebody had asked, well, how do we find out our guardian angel's name? And I said, well, you just ask. And they're like, well, it can't be that easy. Of course, there's got to be like this whole big process. I said, no, actually, it's just that easy. And they said, well, what's your guardian angel's name? And I said, I don't know. I actually never asked. And they're like, you didn't ask? I said, you know what? It never mattered. Like, I've always felt her. I've experienced her. I saw her. I've never asked. And so the person said, well, okay, do it right now. Tell me what your guardian angel's name is. So I got quiet. I went in. Okay. And I heard Sarah. I said, okay, my guardian angel's name is Sarah. And they're like, it can't be that easy. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And so their homework was for that week, they were going to go and ask and then see what they got, and then ask for validation of that name. So I didn't ask for validation, because I was like, yep, it's Sarah. But the next morning I woke up, went to take my kids to school, get in the car, and on the radio is Sarah Smiles by Hall & Oates.
I love it.
So I'm like, oh, that was really good, guys. That's great. And then I pull out of my driveway, and there's a truck in front of me, and the license plate on the truck says, oh, Sarah. And I'm like, all right, that's good. And I knew I'm a girl that gets it in threes, right? So I'm like, all right, I wonder what the next thing is going to be. So I pick my kids up from school 4 hours later, go to Costco. Who helps me at the register? Sarah. So that was a great validation. And when we had class next week and I told that story, then everybody's like, oh, okay. So it is that easy. And it's so fun.
And the validation can come through and can be fun to be with, not because of an expectation.
Yes.
But the awe when it comes in and that excitement, it's like we actually increase our relationship dynamic with the archangels, playing with them in that way.
And it raises your vibration and your frequency. And so it's so fun to get into that playful energy.
Oh my God, this is so awesome. Y'all take advantage of this. Again, with Sunny Dawn, again, you can tell how dynamic and fun and the energy and the groundedness and the strength in which she teaches and cultivates. And again, I love that you're an experiential learner, which tells me that you bring it into your teaching style as well.
Yeah.
Again, y'all, once you experience it in your body, there's no taking it away. There just isn't. It's yours forever. So this is wonderful. Y'all, it's $97. Click on the link and start working with Sunny Dawn in this capacity. And Sunny Dawn, you do a once a year angel workshop also, right? And that's coming up in October.
I do. Yes. October
Talk about
22nd.
that right now to get people even more excited. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So here in Phoenix, Arizona, I do an event every year called Angel Day. It's a full day connecting and working with your angels, learning how to open up. There's meditations, there's music, there's vendors, all kinds of cool angel stuff on October 22nd. So if you're local or if you want to come in for the day, we're also doing an expanded intimate group of 20. And I think we have about 4 spots maybe left for that the following day on Sunday. So something I've done for 17 years. I love it. It's such a beautiful day and a great way to just raise the vibration for everyone.
Amazing. Amazing. Oh, so fun. All right, y'all. The special offer, again, the link's in the chat box. $97 is a specially priced discount for BTO. And it's all Sunny Dawn and you guys and the angels all showing up for you. So I hope you take advantage of it. Sunny Dawn, if you're ready, let's take some Q&A.
Sure. Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, let's start. Cindy, welcome to the call. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Sunny, and I'm in Phoenix. So
All right. Come join us at Angel Day, sister.
I know I do have a huge heart and culture fundraiser we do on that night, but maybe I could do the day. I don't know. We'll work it in.
Awesome.
Okay, so I realize that everything needs to be experienced. And so I definitely somehow I've been working through, sometimes they say if you want something so much, the expectation is so much that my ego is too in the way. So, for years. So I guess I would love to have some guidance just to continue clearing on that.
What is it you're wanting, hon?
Well, for me, I think I'm just continuing to work more and more with people in service with women. And I'm really learning about my divine feminine and learning to balance that masculine and feminine. And I guess for me, a lot of it is just to be in that communion of love and joy for myself. Kind of like they say, you can, what you give, what you receive, you can give. I think I'm looking for some of that infinity to have more strength and trust. So what I teach is from, like you say, you have to experience it. So I feel like that's where my heart is now. It's feeling very fragile.
So here's what comes to me for you. Sometimes I think that things don't happen fast enough for us. And in your experience, what it feels like is you're having the experience that you're looking for, but you're very sensitive. And so it's almost like that the energy feels, it's almost like you want it so much that you hold on so tight. And what I would remind you of is if we're going to have that infinity energy, right? I can't be holding on tight. I've actually got to allow the energy to move. And what it feels like for you, Cindy, is you've learned a lot and you've actually come a long way. And so I hope you give yourself credit for that. I don't think you give yourself enough credit for that. And so the energy that you're wanting, and even for you to experience within yourself, you have to remind yourself of how much you've already done. And when you get into that place and you're that loving to yourself, the energy then moves from you and comes back to you. I think that you tend to give more than you allow yourself to receive. And that's the piece that we want more flow in. So if you can trust that you deserve it, girl, and just open yourself up, it's going to happen. And I also feel like there's some kind of major shift for you in November, end of November of this year. So just FYI.
Major shift.
Life,
love, career.
I think it's internally. I think it's internal within you. So it's going to almost like, how sometimes you know something, but then the light bulb goes off and you're like, oh, like you know it, but now you know it. November.
That's beautiful. Cindy.
I watched you earlier, John.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And I would tell you, you say you're trying to balance the feminine and masculine. You're not trying, you're doing it. You're doing it.
Yeah.
And don't be so afraid to get it wrong. You can't. Don't be so afraid to get it wrong. And don't be so afraid that others will get it wrong or that you'll be at fault for others getting it wrong. Just relax. It's like your love is the foundation of everything. And from there, you can't make a wrong decision. As long as you're in tune with that, you've got it.
You got it, girl. You got it.
Got it. Thank you, love.
Thank you.
All right, let's move forward. Eileen, welcome tonight. Let's get you to unmute, please.
Hi.
Hi.
I really identified with what you were talking about with pain because I'm going through a lot of that, whether it's emotional or physical. And it almost feels like a test almost. I don't know the details of it, but it feels like I'm being tested.
Sure. You know, I think that what happened for me, and maybe you can identify with this, Eileen, is I didn't recognize how much of the emotional pain had bubbled up until it started showing up as physical pain. And so I knew that emotional pain was underlying that physical pain. What I didn't know was that because I'd had so much physical pain for a couple of years, that I had created unknowingly, I had created very strong neural pathways to pain. And I did not have enough neural pathways to safety. And so my body, whenever it would get tense, when my nervous system would get tight or upset or in fear or whatever it was, it would go straight to the pain and it would activate the pain. And when you're in pain, physical pain like that, it is difficult to think about anything, to do anything. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I would just lay in bed and cry. And I'm not a lay in bed person and I'm not a crier. So I'm like, who is this right now? Right. And so what I started realizing, and this might be helpful for you, Eileen, is that for me, there was a lot of emotional things that had come up. And a lot of that actually came up through the pandemic. I really had a lot of pain around what went on in the pandemic and the way that humanity was treating humanity. And I stuffed it. I didn't realize I had, but I did. And so I had to start creating healthy neural pathways that didn't involve pain, because pain was the natural place that it was going. And it kept being reinforced because when you're in pain and you think about pain and you work your life around pain and you have more pain. So safety messages were probably one of the biggest things that I had to learn. And the angels helped me to work through and get to a place where I could actually feel into those, so that I'm at a place now where that's much stronger than the pain pathways. And the pain, although nothing has changed, the pain has lessened by at least 60%. So I'm going to encourage you, there's a lot of information on that. I know I don't have a lot of time, but I just want to share that piece with you. That could be really valuable. There's also just for anybody that has physical pain that really gets stuck in it, especially if it's chronic, there's an app called Curable. I have nothing to do with it. I'm not an affiliate of it in any way, but it is fantastic. There's so much good meditations, visualizations, and information that can help you. So check it out, my friend.
I have outlets with music, with writing, with nature.
Yes.
It all helps.
Yes, it all helps. It's not just one thing. It all helps.
Curable. Amazing. Blessings to you, Eileen.
Thank you.
Come back and listen. It's wonderful. Thank you. All right, let's go. Okay, I'm going to preface this because I'm going to ask you a couple of questions before you ask Sunny Dawn your question, if that's okay.
Okay.
And hopefully you guys shake your head, anybody who's willing to do that on video. All right, Angela, let's go to you. Let's get you to unmute and welcome. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Doing wonderful. I'm so curious. So my first question to you is, and answer almost immediately. First answer you get. What angel are you connected to right now?
I think Michael.
Beautiful. Does Michael have a message for you?
Not
Does Michael have a message for you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Sit with that for a second.
Okay.
Sit that for a second. Okay, now ask Anita on your question.
Okay, so it's related to relationships across the board, not just romantic ones, and been doing a lot of work on codependency, and my eyes have been opened. I realized that my whole family structure was codependent, and that's how we thought you were loving people, right? And had a couple of failed marriage, another failed relationship, and I realized just how hooked into the codependent behavior I was. But I do it in all relationships, not just romantic. And I even noticed, I'm an architect, and I'm like, our whole industry is codependent. Our business is set up as a codependent structure. And I'm looking to move into more healthy, more magnetic relationships, making more friends, having more of a social life. And I just wondered if there's any guidance around that.
Boy, oh boy. Sister, I got you. I've been there. Codependency was my middle name. So this is what worked really well for me. And I didn't know what was happening at the time, but Archangel Shamuel is the angel of unconditional love. And what Shamuel has taught me over the years, especially in the early years, was that the codependency that I experienced, and I had it pretty severe, was because I didn't have that love for myself, that I was searching for love in all the wrong places, right? Looking for love in all the wrong places. That was me right there. And as you can tell, I'm a singer on the side. So I think that what you want to remember is that if you can invite Shamuel to start to help you to see where you are not loving and kind to you, and you start to change that behavior, what happens is you start attracting people that are at that level of energy. So when we're in the codependency, we attract people that need that, right? That are that as well on the other side of it. When we start to shift our energy, we're more loving and kind to ourselves, and we're more gentle with ourselves. When we see truly our value and who we are, then we attract people that are at that space too. Now, it all looks different, and doesn't mean they can't have some wounds, because we all do. But it's a higher frequency of energy. That was really the thing that probably in everything that I did working with the angels in my younger years, with codependency, that worked the most for me, because it was about, I had to learn to love myself so that I could allow other people to love me. Because you can't give what you don't have. Can't give what you don't have. So I would encourage you to work with Shamuel. And one of the things I did that was really helpful was when I had people that I wasn't being very loving to, or I didn't really love a lot, that I was supposed to love, like my dad, for example, I would throw pink baseballs at him. And pink was for love, and I was throwing love right at him. But that helped me to move some of that energy and still be intentionally coming from a place of love.
I like that. Yeah.
See if that helps, hon.
Well, thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you, darling.
So Angela, what was your message from Michael, if you don't mind sharing?
Is around being an advocate and, kind of standing in my power with clear energy.
I love that.
Beautiful.
And I want to thank you also, because in you asking that question, you're an advocate for so many of us who are in that codependence, and we're healing those in lots of different ways. And even when we think that we've healed it to a certain point, something else comes in to remind us that there's still a vulnerability, a tenderness, but also a beauty that grows within that as we're learning to express from ourselves. So as you being an advocate, again, you speaking out loud and sharing this for so many of us, again, on this call, that would judge ourselves for being codependent, but also perhaps invite in the love that you give from what we judge as codependence and the ability to relate, that perhaps wouldn't be accessible if we weren't. And now we're just ready for a healthier version of it. So again, thank you.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, let's go to another caller now. Let's see. Drew Renee, welcome to the call. Let's get you to unmute, please.
Hello.
Hi, Drew.
Hi, Sunny. So my question is, I feel like my business and my love life are connected, but I feel like I'm like waiting for something to drop in. Like there's something that's supposed to be dropping in. I don't know what it is or when it's coming. So I'd love some clarity on that, please.
What's your business?
My business. So I do future life progression for people in the entertainment industry.
Okay. And you're not in a relationship right now?
No, I'm single.
Okay. And can you just give me your birth date?
May 9th.
Okay. What it feels like to me is, I think that there's it's right around birthday time. So I got 8 months. Is that August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March? Okay. So March to May, somewhere in that time frame. I think relationship is going to open up for you. And I actually agree that one supports the other. I think that when you have a solid foundation in relationship, you feel more solid in you feel more solid, and it supports then your creative. There's a lot of creativity around you. Like Archangel Jophiel, sister, is like you're just bright yellow. Even though you're in a darker room, like it's just so bright around you, so that it supports that creative energy. I'm that way. My relationship helps ground me. And for a lot of people that do the work I do, they're not very grounded. So I have a lot of grounded energy. So that it's similar in that way. March to May, big opportunity for a relationship coming forth that can support your business. But until then, you can get that support through your support system, through your spiritual team, and start asking for that support so that you can feel that centeredness and that groundedness as you open up to receiving, because that can be not always easy for you. Open up to that receiving energy. Then you can allow not only the support now, it's almost in training to receive the true love that you want and the expansion of your business then. Does that make sense to you, Hen?
Yes, it does. Perfect sense.
It's very connected.
Okay.
Okay.
Exciting. Sunny, one of my biggest lessons, the hardest initiations I had to go through, was learning how to receive.
Yeah.
I went into a year and my guidance came in that this particular year was going to be the year of receiving. I said, finally. Man, it was one of the biggest initiations I've ever been through.
Yes, I absolutely agree. One of the things I do every morning, I open my arms to the universe and I ask, I make a statement, a mantra, an affirmation of I am open to receive. It's been one of the greatest learnings in my life as well. I could receive little things, small things that felt safe, but like receiving attention, receiving love, receiving money, receiving adoration, receiving support, receiving help, like all those, I was like, nope, I don't need that. Nope, I don't need that. Nope, I don't need that. And I really needed it, right? So receiving, guys, gosh, we ask and ask and ask, and then we have our receiver broken. We're not open to receive it. So we're like, okay, I want this and I want this and I want this, but not that way, not at this time. And so we really have to get into that, being open to receive.
Or only a little bit at a time. Only give me this much because it's too much.
Exactly. I
And
don't know
then
how to
we
handle
complain,
it.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll tell you what, though, when your receiver gets fixed, it's fantastic. It's really great when your receiver is in flow and you're open. There's such a difference in the frequency when you no longer feel like you don't deserve to have it.
That's wonderful.
Whatever that is.
And Drew, I just feel like this course with Sunny Dawn and going in and to invite the A team into what you do, that really, pun intended, and not, to invite them in, what will do for your work, but then what does that do for your connection and in a relational dynamic with a beloved? It's just, wow, because you're already tapping into that. And I don't know who or what necessarily you connect to in those future regressions or progressions.
Future life progression.
Yeah, future life progressions, which is a fascinating topic. I have made decisions in my life because I was able to tap in and see outcomes at potential lines. It's like, oh, that's what that one's feeling like. And it wasn't projection.
Yeah.
It was, I was in the experience. And so what you're doing is wonderful. And to bring in higher states of vibration, because they can facilitate your work and make it that much more easier and expanded. And I already get that you're amazing at it, but why not? Why not play with more, right? So the course seems like it'd be amazing for you. I'm just saying. Thank you so much, and blessings too. And yet my mom's birthday also, so just so fun. Y'all, the link for the course is in the chat box again. And April, type it in one more time if you don't mind. Again, invoking the archangels, the online course of Sunny Dawn Johnston. And again, you're gonna get, someone's gonna hold your hand on something that you're capable of doing. And again, on the show, we share so many different ways in how you connect and how to get into a resonant field, how to drop those things that may be blocking or putting you out of vibrational accord. And it's wonderful information. And you guys are great at putting the practice into experiences. But when you have someone who does this expertly and in a masterful way, holding your hand through it and inviting you into not only what's possible, but what's possible from their lens, from their perspective and all their experience. It just goes to a whole nother level. So that's why I'm excited that Sunny Dawn is teaching this to you in this way, and that you'll have the opportunity to participate with her. So again, the link's in the chat box. It's $97. Take advantage of it. Yeah, and
Awesome.
Let's continue on. I want to take some more live calls if that's okay, Sunny Dawn.
Yeah, I've got a class in about 10 minutes. So I hope that can we wrap up within 10 minutes? I'm so sorry.
We're gonna wrap up with our next caller, MC. I'm guided to call on you.
I'm so sorry, guys. I totally didn't match my time well enough. So I'd love to hang out for another hour. We'll do it again. We'll do it again, John. We won't wait 5 years.
Absolutely do it again. Yeah. And MC, let's do a quick question with you and drop in. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I really appreciate it. To be honest, I'm very shy and very nervous at the moment.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. It's been very informative and really very interesting. I'm not new to angels or anything like that. I've been in a process for quite a few years of learning and studying and trying to improve myself in the spiritual way as much as I can, to open my heart, to be the best person that I can be. The thing I seems to be struggling with is trusting in my decision-making. Because until I got to this point, I seem to have made so many wrong decisions that kind of set me off on the wrong direction. Or maybe not, because here I am. But I don't.
I'd hold on to those words right there. Or maybe not, because here I am.
Nice.
Right. But I still don't trust on a day-to-day, on practical, on anything, my decision-making. So I would like some guidance. I would like I'm tapping, I'm meditating, I am doing energy work. I am used to do oracle cards. I stopped that for a while because I was going through a lot, got busy. I'm praying, I am doing yoga. I'm trying very hard to raise my vibration and to be the best person I can be. And I understand on some level that I am good enough, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, when it comes to making a decision or anything major, I kind of get stuck and afraid to make the decision because I was not making right decisions before.
Sure.
And I'm not sure which direction to go.
So first off, when you're struggling with decisions, I would always call in Archangel Uriel to help you. Uriel can help you to transmute some of the fear, because you've got a lot of fear. That's why you're stuck, and that's why you're feeling stuck. You're afraid that you're going to repeat a pattern of making a mistake, so to speak. And so Archangel Uriel can help you to transmute that fear and help you to see a bigger, greater picture. So I would call in Uriel, and that just having the presence of Uriel can help you gain more confidence. But what I really want you to hear is, a lot of times, guys, I can't even tell you how many things, if people were using the term mistake, they would look at my life and point at all these things that were mistakes or bad choices. But the reality of it is, and I know that it sounds really simple, but it did get you here, MC. And sometimes we think that the path is 1, 2, 3, and it's just a straight line. I don't know about the rest of you, but this is my path, right? And I've been connected since I was 13. So there's never been just a straight line, easy route in the sense of absolute knowing every single time. There's been times where I haven't been sure, and it hasn't turned out the way that I thought it would. But that thing then brought me to another thing that brought me to another thing. And for you, MC, what all of those things have brought you to is a deep learning and a deeper connection. That's where you are right now. So the fear, if we can let go of the fear, the purpose of the fear has brought you to go within and to create a deeper connection, which is exactly where you need to be. Now, what we want to do is let go of what you feel like the pattern has been, and recognize that the deep healing is healing that pattern so that you can actually make those decisions. And with the support of the angel, specifically with Uriel's support, trusting that it's taking you to the next step in your life. Because as much as it's difficult, I really think that you are actually where you're meant to be. And then you've done a lot of healing work that was necessary. It was necessary. And now you have the opportunity. It doesn't have to be so hard. That's the difference. It doesn't have to be so hard, and it won't be.
So why is it when I'm supposed to make a decision now, I can't see, I'm vacillating. I can't seem to figure out which way to go.
Because you're afraid, because you're bringing that old energy into present moment. So you're basing where you've been and you're projecting that onto that choice right there. So what I would do is I would listen to my body. Listen to your body. It's actually the one that will tell you. You're trying to make the decision in your head, but you're a feeler. So you're going to feel it in your body. You can't make a decision in your head if you're a feeler. It's not going to feel right. So if you feel into your body, that's going to tell you the answer.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay.
And
Thank
see,
you.
listen to Sunny Dawn. There's such, it's like you're speaking advice and you're tapping into the energy, Sunny Dawn, but I can feel you channeling your real for her.
Mm-hmm.
It's just coming through, and it's so right there. Y'all, we're going to run the replay all week long. The replays can always be found on beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replay. Come back and listen. MC, come back and listen to this for you, and just remember.
Thank you
Sometimes
very
you hear it a second time and a third time and it clicks, it pulls in and it gets present in your heart.
Hey,
Thank
MC,
you very much.
I'm a late bloomer also, but I trust that everything that led me to here is like, everything's about to pop.
Exactly.
And it's like, some of us are just late bloomers.
Well, and I wasn't a late bloomer. I started with this when I was 13 and I still am learning. So it's okay. It's all right.
Amazing.
Thank you.
MC, thank you. Everybody
Thank
on the
you.
call, thank you so much today. This has been amazing. Sunny Dawn, it's so great to have you back.
Thank you,
my heart
John.
is
It was
so
great
happy.
to spend
You're
time with
amazing.
you. And thank you all. I'm so sorry I have to leave. I would have kept more space open so I could hang with you for longer.
We'll do it another time. Thank you for
Yes,
your
we
time.
will.
Thank you for your love, and you keep rocking it.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank you.
guys. And I hope to see you in the course. And I look forward to connecting with you. Thanks, friends.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, John.